Hi there, my name is Heather and I'm a volunteer for the Housing Needs Survey and the Homeless Count. I'd like to offer you some tobacco. So let me get it out of the pocket for you. There you go. I'd like to offer you some of this tobacco to share some time with you and to ask you a few questions. So we're talking to people across the region who don't have a place where they pay rent. Can I ask you a few questions?
Yeah, why not? I'll smoke this tobacco.
The questions are short and the whole interview should take about 15 minutes. Your participation is voluntary and your name will not be recorded. You can choose to skip any questions or stop the interview at any time. Doing the interview will not affect your use of services in any way. We are doing this to find out how we are doing in addressing homelessness, and so we have good information to improve services. Some of the questions may seem obvious, but I have to ask them, so please don't be offended by the wording and just answer as best as you can. Are you still willing to do the survey?
Yeah, why not?
Are you willing to participate in the survey?
Yeah, why not?
Have you already answered this survey today or last night with someone wearing a yellow button?
I haven't seen no one else with any yellow buttons.
Do you currently have a place to stay where you pay monthly rent?
I live under this bridge. I don't pay no rent. This is rent free.
Where did you stay last night?
Under this bridge.
So outside? Did you make any kind of makeshift shelter or tent?
No, I got this bridge here. It's my shelter.
Okay, so for the next few questions, when I say homeless, it means you don't have a place of your own where you pay rent and can stay for 30 days. So does that make sense?
I guess so.
Yeah. How long have you been without a place of your own?
About 2 years.
How old are you or when were you born?
Born in 1975.
How old were you the first time you experienced homelessness?
Oh, I was 22 years old.
Okay. What gender do you identify with?
Geez, I'm a man. Can't you tell?
Do you identify as someone with trans experience? So that means your gender identity is different than how you were born.
The only trans experience I got is being transient. Jeez.
Did you come to Canada as an immigrant, refugee, or a refugee claimant?
No.
So how long have you been in Canada?
My whole life. I've never left.
Do you identify as First Nations, Métis, or Inuit, or do you have any other North American Indigenous ancestry?
Yeah, I come from that reserve across the river.
Okay, so that one over there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm
Yes.
Indigenous.
In addition to your response to the previous questions, do you identify with any other racial groups, so like Black, South Asian, or white?
No, I'm a North American Aboriginal person.
So thinking of race, how would you identify yourself? And you kind of already answered this, but I'm just going to read you some examples. So do you identify as Arab, Asian, Black, Latin American, white, or anything else that I haven't listed?
No, I'm 100% Aboriginal.
Do you have family members or anyone else who stayed with you last night?
No, I've been by myself this whole night.
Okay.
Last night, the night before, just sleeping under this bridge.
Do you identify as having the following health challenges? Any medical conditions or illnesses?
Nope.
Any physical disability?
Nope.
Okay, no physical disability. Mental health issues?
I'm perfectly good in the head.
Any addiction?
Maybe just the blues.
Any learning disabilities or cognitive impairments?
You calling me stupid? I'm fine.
Do you identify as having any acquired brain injury that happened after birth? So this could be an injury related to an accident, violence, an overdose, stroke, or brain tumor?
Jeez. No, what do I look like? I'm something wrong with me? I've never had no brain injuries.
So how long have you been in Langley for?
I don't know, a couple years.
Okay, so 2 years, I'll say. Where did you live before you came here?
Winnipeg.
Winnipeg. Okay. As a child or youth, were you ever in foster care or in a youth group home or on an independent living agreement?
Nope.
No. How do you describe your sexual orientation? For example, gay, straight, or lesbian?
Jesus, this kind of survey?
I know
I'm straight.
I know these questions are kind of personal, but they're just some things that I have to ask to assess.
Yeah, whatever. I'm straight.
Have you stayed in a homeless shelter in the last 12 months?
No, I never stay in a homeless shelter. It stinks out there. You know, I got the fresh river air here.
So what services have you used in the last 12 months? So I have quite a long list here. I'm just going to read some out to you, and if you've used any of these, just let me know and I'll check them off. The ambulance?
Nope.
Emergency room?
Nope.
Hospital?
Nope.
Dentist?
I wish. My teeth are pretty bad.
Okay. The mental health services?
Nope.
Supervised injection sites?
Nope.
Any addiction services?
Yeah, I tried to get into alcohol detox, but they wouldn't let me in.
Okay. Any health clinics?
No.
Food services?
I go to the soup kitchen.
Okay. Any legal services?
No.
Employment and financial services?
I don't need a job.
Okay. Housing services?
Yeah, you know, I tried to get in that housing, but it's all full, you know?
Yeah.
There's no room for me.
Okay.
I've been on the list for a year.
Have you used any other services that I didn't mention?
Don't think so.
Have you ever had any services in the Canadian Forces?
I'm not gonna serve, no.
No. What are your main sources of income or any income? I have a list here I can read from, or if you have any sources.
I just, I put my hat out. People are pretty generous here in Fort Langley.
Okay, so panhandling. Do you collect bottles or?
Nah.
No. Do you collect any money from family or friends?
Nah, they don't give me nothing.
Welfare?
Yeah, of course, everyone's on welfare.
What happened that caused you to lose your housing most recently? So I have 4 options here. So it's housing and financial issues, interpersonal and family issues, health or corrections, or anything else. So housing.
Well, the last time I had a house was in Winnipeg, and I couldn't afford the rent, and then I left Winnipeg because it was in the middle of the winter, and I came out here, and I haven't need a house because it's so warm.
Okay, so housing. How much time have you experienced homelessness in the past year?
The whole time I have it, those housing authority people, I'm on the wait list. They don't do nothing.
Okay, so 12 months then. Okay, well, I want to thank you for your time that you've given me for this survey, and I have a granola bar if you're interested. Are you hungry?
Yeah, give me that.